This is the final video in a series designed to help people understand how to create UML diagrams, specifically UML class diagrams. In this video, we'll focus on how to enhance the diagrams by adding attributes about each of the classes represented in the diagram. An attribute, as you see here, is a significant piece of data owned by a class, often containing values describing each instance of the class. Besides the attribute name and a slot for the attribute value, an attribute may have specified visibility, type, multiplicity, default value, and property setting. In the case of the diagrams we're going to be using in the class I teach, we're not going to worry about any of these advanced features. We're only going to be including the attributes themselves in the diagram. So really, the takeaway is that attributes are pieces of data about an overall class. So for example, it could be the ID number, it could be the color, or the date of birth, different data elements that come together to specify the information we need about the class itself. So in our diagrams, you're going to use the traditional UML naming convention, and in that convention is that attributes, like associations, start with lowercase letters. Additionally, an important rule to keep in mind is that every class is going to need to have a unique identifier, or a key value, that will be useful in using it to create databases. So examples of attributes include things like the address, the amount, balance, bank account number, date, date of birth, device serial number, description, employee ID, inspection date, name, OR number, patient ID, payer ID, or procedure. So if you've been continuing through this set of videos, pull back up the diagram that represents the operating room class diagram as we completed in the last session. That diagram showed a number of different classes, the associations between them, and the multiplicity of how those classes were related. Think about that operating room situation and determine which class or classes would be associated with address. In other words, which classes would likely have an address that would further describe them. Amount, similarly, balance, bank account number. Each of these are attributes that would actually be in the operating room situation. So you can pause the video now, think about which class would be appropriate. When you continue, I'll show you the class diagram. Here is the resulting class diagram that includes those attributes plus several more. As you see, for our operating room, we know that it's got a stereotypical type of resource, and then within the operating room, there are two attributes that we've identified, the operation room number and the last inspection date. Both of those values begin with lowercase letters and use uppercase letters for following rooms. So we have operation room with a capital R, last inspection date. Again, operating room continues to be associated with the operation, and the attribute values associated with operation are operation number, date, and description. The attributes for the equipment include the device number, the description, and the last inspection date. So what's important to understand is that description is an attribute of both the equipment and the operation. And you may find that several classes have attributes that have the same name, but recognize that the description in the operation table, or for the operation class, is the description of what's the operation being performed, whereas the description for the equipment is the description of the piece of equipment being used. We see for the patient that we have a long list of attributes, but for the employee, we've only recognized the employee number. Now, it's unlikely that you'd actually create a system which only had the unique identifier of employee number. It's likely that we would have many attributes, and in a later class, we'll talk about generalization, where we could group together all of our employees into an employee class. And in the employee class, in fact, we'd put all of the attributes that would be shared or that would be common, regardless of whether you're a doctor or a nurse. This concludes our video series on how to create UML class diagrams. In the initial video, we talked about the basic elements of classes, which represent people, places, things, occurrences, and time, and the associations, which are the relationships between those classes. We enhanced our diagrams by understanding that stereotypes can provide additional information about supersets or large classes that represent the smaller, and in that case we used the resource event agent templates to be able to further describe the classes that we have. Multiplicities are the rules for the associations. How many times is one class associated with the other in the association? And finally, this video talks about attributes, where we further enhance our understanding by describing the individual data elements that are used to describe classes. Thank you for participating in these videos, and any feedback would be really appreciated. If you'd like to look at other portions of the videos, as throughout this series, you can click on any of the buttons above to go back and review the earlier portions. Thank you.